Right, so we're in Parashat Mishpatim, and if we look at the location of Parashat Mishpatim in the Torah, we could see that the Torah stopped the story of giving the Torah, and really in its peak, in its climax, where we're talking about the Ten Commandments and the whole ordeal there, and then kind of opened up the parentheses and put Parashat Mishpatim in the middle, with a long list of dinim and laws and so on and so forth. And at the end, kind of brings us back to the event of Har Sinai and the story of going Moshe on the mountain. And as the pasuk says, "Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, alei alai ha'ara," and Hashem told Moshe, climb up to the mountain. Vayal Moshe el ha'ara, he come to the mountain. Vayachas ha'anan et ha'ar, vayavo Moshe b'toch ha'anan, and so on and so on and so forth. And he was there for 40 days and 40 nights. So of course the question is being asked, why the Torah chooses this kind of a script? Because it does like a scan all of a sudden to a different story. I mean, sometimes they use that in movies, to tell you a story, all of a sudden jump to another story, but I don't think that we really understand why we do it. In the end of the movie, it might make sense. And if not, they'll put in deleted scenes or something like that. But I think that there is a reason we, for whatever reason, miss it all the time. Or at least I miss it all the time. What does it tell us, maybe, about the essence of the dinim, of the laws of the Torah in Parashat Mishpatim? What is Mishpatim altogether? So it says in Tehillim, Kuf Mem Zayin Yutet, Magid Varav Le'Yakov, Hukav u'mishpatav liYisrael, right? It says his words to Jacob, and his laws and his judgments, laws, whatever, halachot, to Israel. The Medrash says on that, in Shmot Rabbah, the Medrash says, Magid v'arav leYaakov, elu es aseret hadibrot. That's aseret hadibrot. Chukav u'mishpatav leYisrael, elu ha'mishpatim. That's Parashat Mishpatim. That's what it refers to. So David HaMelech really tells us that the Mishpatim are on the same level of kedusha, of holiness, as the Ten Commandments. Right? Everybody says the same thing. I mean, time and time again. Kabed et avicha et Mecca. Right? Respect your elders and so on and so forth. That's the best. That's the, Also, lo tignov, of course, is big. People kind of forget that and don't lie. That bichlal, it became like a habit. However, all the other laws are also on the same level. All the other laws are also on the same level. There's no such thing as these are the top. People call them the top 10. And of course, there are halachic ramifications to that. When they read the Ten Commandments, as Rabbi Yosef himself writes, one should not be standing in the middle of reciting Aseret Hadibrot, or, to that matter, any part of the Torah. Why? Because it shows that this is more important than that. If you want to stand up beforehand, do not stand in the middle. So, because it's all important. Rashi says on Ve'ele HaMishpatim, Kol Makom Sheneimar Ele, these. It's a famous Rashi. Pasal HaRishonim, he overruled the first one. Va'ele mosif al harishonim. He adds on the one you said beforehand. And as much as Aseret Hadibrot were given to us in Har Sinai, right, and they have the validity because they were given to us, so are the laws and the halachot also were given to us from Sinai as well. And really it was said in the middle of Matan Torah in order for us to understand the level, the importance of judgment or the judicial aspects of life in Judaism itself. And we should understand what does it really mean, Din Torah, in Am Yisrael. Din Torah is not something you just you're used to abuse. Din Torah has to be le'amitah shel Torah, for the sake of Torah. Unfortunately, many people today, everybody wants to be a dayan, everybody has a beit din, everybody does this. And before that, they really have to check. Maybe they should check a basic Rashi. What does it mean to do that? So to be a Dayan B'Yisrael is a very heavy-duty thing. You need to be, first of all, leave to the side a big Talmid Chacham. Leave to the side all the other things. You have to be a really person, Yereh Shamayim. And that's the basic for that. You could be a big Talmid Chacham, a huge Talmid Chacham. You could be a crook. That would immediately disqualify you to be a judge, to be a Dayan. Neki Kapayim, Uvar Levav. Your hands are clean and your heart is clean. So we need to think about very carefully, if any of you has an inspiration to open a Beit Din, first of all, check your hands, make sure your actions are clean, and make sure your heart is clean. Because on the actions you could fake, my actions are clean. Uvar Levav. Is your heart clean? It's something that is very important. We need to understand that. In the dinim, the mishpatim of the rest of the nation is logical. It makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense to do this. And then what makes sense today did not make sense 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 200 years ago, and probably will not make sense 100 years from now. For whatever it makes sense, that's what we change it all the time. In other words, that was a certain logical agreement of the people that live in the city or the country of that generation at the time to make those laws, and therefore it makes sense to them. However, the emunah, the Jewish emunah, is the laws of the Torah were given to us all in Har Sinai, and they were all written in the Torah, and they are called Gufei Torah. This is the body of Torah. In other words, that becomes a part of the Torah. So therefore, to differentiate between Torah shebe'al peh and Torah shebichtav, and you say, this God gave. However, this one the rabbis manipulated, shows and indicates that you're nothing but an Amar. It's an ignorant fool. It doesn't know life from right. It's so much that Chazal told us in Masechet Shabbat, Shekol Dayan Shedan Din Emet La'amito. Any Dayan who does the judgment or ruling for the truthfulness of that, Na'asa Shutaf LaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Maaseh Bereshit, becomes a partner with God in the event of creations. It further says in the Gemara in Masechet Brachot that three people, Shlosha Sheyoshvim Bedin, Shechina Imahem. The Shechina comes with three Dayanim that sit there. Because, the reason would be, because if it was a regular law made up by man, so therefore it has to be by man. And of course they could corrupt it. However, since it's also Dinei Shamayim, and the Torah was given to us from Hashem, and the halachot, and the laws were given from Hashem, the Shekhinah becomes an extra dayan to validate those dinim. So you got to be very careful, because before you call yourself a dayan. It says in Sefer Tanchuma, in Midrash Tanchuma, that the essence of creation, Shenitava Kadosh Baruch Hu liot lo dira batachtonim. Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to make this world here adequate for him, or appropriate for him, and the whole basically Sefer Shmot, and from that point on, really deals with all the laws that have to do to make this world into a better world, appropriate for God to dwell in it. Because don't forget, this world became a little corrupt because of man's action. That's why Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah. When Adam HaRishon and some other generation after that made a sin, whatever sin they had, they separated between heaven and earth. Our job is to put it back together. And we need to understand that. That's why it says, that's why the Netivot Shalom in Parshat Mishpatim says the following. It says, and I'm quoting, lekach, therefore, נתן הקדוש ברוך הוא את פרשת המשפטים שבתוך עולם השקר התנהגו על פי משפטי השם אמת. That's why הקדוש ברוך הוא gave us the Torah in this world, which is the world of fakeness and lies, in order to show us the way to act appropriately. Now, that's why you might understand why is it that you have such a tremendous, we call it Chilul Hashem, a desecration of God's name, when you supposedly have, let's say, a Talmid Chacham or a rabbi that is a crook or a liar. He deepens the separation of heaven and earth. That's called desecration of God's name. That's why. Exactly it. And you should know that our partnership with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what time is it? Yeah. Our partnership with HaKadosh Baruch Hu really comes to an expression in the small details in life, you know? And the little things that you do, the day in and the day out that you do, the little things that you do. In other words, the laws between one man and his friend, between society and so on and so forth. In other words, to bring into the earthy, materialistic reality in what we call Olam HaAsiyah, the work of doing, into the darkness place, you know, in creation, in terms of, which is our world, we are commanded to bring in, God's light, what we call Ha'or Eloki, God's light. Each and every one of us. Are we doing it? How much of that are we really doing? How much of that are we really doing? Do our shuls serve as a place of light or a cave of darkness? Is our behavior a behavior geared towards bringing light, or is it a behavior that causes darkness? Somebody will tell you, I'm only doing so because I care about you. Meanwhile he's stabbing you in the back, and you ask him why he's doing that. Oh, I want to shorten your life. I want to do no chesed with you. I don't want you to suffer so much in this world. But man, you're killing me. What are you exactly doing? Are you really stabbing somebody in the back and tell him that came from love? Do we abuse the power that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us? You don't understand what does it mean to be a Dayan. To be a Dayan, you got to be a very, very special person. Very special person. A person who is not willing to be distorted and would not allow his perception of reality be distorted one way or another. He needs to be clean. As I said to you, Nechi Kapayim, Neki Chapayim, V'Bar Levav. Clean. Honest. Are we like that? And that's a very big question that we all have to ask ourselves. What is it from our daily actions that bring lights to this world? Are we full of vendettas or personal agendas? You know that those things bring darkness to this world. That's Olam HaPeirud. You are separating, because my agenda might be different than his agenda, that is different than his agenda, different than everybody's. So if we're all going to operate on different agendas, we are creating Perud, separation. If we unite all our actions with everybody's ability, everybody's contributing his ability to this one goal, bringing light to this world, Hashem's light to this world, well, we are therefore connecting heaven and earth. You're becoming a partner in creation. Do you know what it means? How, therefore, there is room for personal agendas, to manipulation. I'm going to tell you something like that. If you have a person, and I don't care how old he is, how young he is, how much he knows, or how much he doesn't know, if these are his actions, that's not a God-fearing person. He's a person that lives culturally religious, but internally he's not religious. It's all a cultural thing. It's a facade. We need to internalize that, and we need to understand that. And when people act like this, you should not be embarrassed to rebuke them and say, listen, what are you doing? Now, by doing so, we make this world appropriate for Hashem to dwell in. The Torah did not leave us one detail of life. Yeshua, you can get here, it's fine. Did not leave any detail of life that is not covered in halacha or anything like this. Everything is covered. Everything is covered in halacha. All we need to do is just learn. Now, again, I'm coming back to this, that it's very difficult to be a God-fearing person truthfully if you're not learning, if you're ignorant. Why? Because there are conflicts, there are problems, there are machlokot, and so on and so forth, right? And if you're not learning, you're not going to be able to recognize how to overcome this, to put it together, and you become a part of that, and you can't do it. Therefore, when you learn, that's why the Torah, when the Torah was giving, those aspects of life was giving us, which is quite boring, to show us that only through bringing about God's light into this world, only then we can bring the light into the place of darkness. We can fix it. We can connect. Now, and by the way, this is only through Torah. It's only through Torah. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. There's not going to be true chibur, because Torah is the core of condensation in which we all contribute. We are gluing ourselves to. We are mevatel ourselves for the Torah. That's why, I had chavruta. Yeah, your father was my chavruta. When we argue with any of my chavruta, it doesn't make a difference who is right. Or in the Gemara, it doesn't make a difference who is right. I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right. Why? Because I want to feel important. That's not a chavruta. Chavruta is, who cares? You're bringing something, I'm bringing something. We're here to find the truth. Okay, so you got the point and I didn't. What difference does it make? We got the point. It's we brought the light to this world. If for example, let's say his father was, we were arguing something and he was right, and the halakha told him to be like him, not like me. So I lost. We together brought this light, so we brought it. So who cares? We were right. We brought the light. Hey, that's good. I like that one. Rhymes. Make a t-shirt. I hate liars. I really do. I mean, I shouldn't really say hate, but I do. I hate people who lie. It's cancerous. It really is cancerous. Liars are horrific. Now you might understand what lying is so bad. They cause separation. They bring about the darkness. That separation, into those gaps comes the darkness, and then it hovers and it covers and it fills up the whole reality. We cannot allow this to happen. Cannot. Now, in the middle of this whole entire thing, there is a strange halacha that says, Ki tikneh eved ivri, if you're going to buy a Jewish slave, shesh shanim ya'avod, and so on and so forth, and the whole story, and what he's going to do. And if Yomar Eved, if the Eved would say, Ahavti et Adoni, I love my master, et ishti ve'et banai lo etzeh chofshi, I don't want to become free, and then we, give him some piercing job over there in his ear, and it's quite bizarre. I mean, the whole thing is bizarre. Why do you have to pierce his ear? And why is almost like the first thing that we are talking about in the Parshat is about slaves, right? And who is that slave? Who is that Eved Ivri that we're talking about? Of course, we're talking about a real slave. It's not just like a metaphor. But however, today that we don't have slaves, what does it really have to do with us? So here comes the Kabbalah to our rescue. You want to skip Kabbalah? Today, no. All right. Here comes the Kabbalah to our rescue. The Kabbalah said, Ha'eved Ivri, that Eved Ivri is a movement, is a quality in the nefesh of each and every one of us. It's a force. Koach b'neshama. And that koach, we need to teach, and we need to acknowledge it, first of all, and we need to teach it, and we need to be able to elevate ourselves and to free ourselves from that attribute inside of us that is called an Eved Ivri. Of course, so therefore the question is, that will all come, how do we come out of slavery? You see, they came out of Mitzrayim, but still had the slaves, because something was wrong there, something was not happening right. And you might like it later on, I'm going to say something from, yes. So in order to solve any problem, you really have to get down to the bottom of things. There's always an underlining that most people are too lazy or comfortably choose to ignore. There's something always there. What's the root of the problem? If a person has the blood pressure, right? Let's say his blood pressure went up, like mine was today for, whatever reason here, dealing with klipot here. Yes, I said that, I don't care. Come, I'll give you a nutcracker. If you're going to give a person blood pressure medication, it's going to lower the blood pressure. But you're not going to solve the problem. What's the problem with his blood pressure? Is he fat? Does he eat a lot of salt? Is it genetics? Is it environmental? What's the cause of that? You're going to treat them the same way? Once you go in it, you can get out of it. You're stuck. But you never remove the cause of things. And that's what we do throughout our lives all the time. We don't go down to the bottom of things to see what the root of the problem is. If you go to class and you fail, what you gotta say? Why is it I'm dumb? No, you're not dumb. You're pretty smart. So what is it? Well, get down to the bottom of things and say that you don't review, you don't put in effort, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's the bottom. It's not the teacher, it's not the professor, it's you. You like to watch YouTube, you don't like to do work. I do believe that most of the people are capable of doing at least 90% above their current ability. I don't want to sound grandiose, that's why I didn't say 100%. At least 90%. You have a debt, you owe money. Oh, what's the cause of your money? Is it because your lifestyle? You spend too much money? You don't make enough money? You got to do the cause of it. You have to get down to the bottom of the problem and then fix yourself and work yourself out of it. But you need to know what the cause is. Now, it says in the Parshat that an Evan goes to Chofshi, becomes free, for example, if we say, if the master, bangs his tooth or his eye, shen v'ayin, tachat shed v'ayin, right? So if the master knocked his tooth or I don't know, caused damage to his eye, because he has to free him. So the question is, of course, why do we always say shen v'ayin? Why not any other limbs and so on and so forth? Truth of the matter is that we're talking about all limbs of the person, but shen v'ayin shows us the root of the whole concept of avdut, of slavery. Because those two elements cause him to become a slave. In anything in any issue in the world that comes in our awareness, in our life, and so on and so forth, there is the personality that brought those, there's a certain personality that brought that essence down to the world by its action. For example, if we're talking about Avraham Avinu brought down the chesed to the world. Yitzchak Avinu brought the gvura in the world. Each person, of those great people, brought something with him down, was able to tap into this heavenly pipe and bring this down to our world. Don't forget, comparing with anything of Kedusha, there's also issues of Tumah, right? So the desire of certain things are brought by Bilam, and this was, everything has the parallel to that. And if we're going to go to Ham, which is the son of Noach, that's the person who was able to cause slavery into this world. Until the point there was no slaves. Ham is the one who brought slavery to the world. And how did he do so? We spoke before about desecrating his father's honor, but that's what he did. Now, there is something in the connection between a father and a son in terms of coming to avdut, of slavery, but we can talk to this a little bit, maybe a little bit later. You should know that in the nature of creation itself, a son is always in the machshava of the father. in terms of bidvikut, is always attached. They're always connected. That was before Cham. Now, what I'm going to tell you, if you're going to start thinking for yourself, you might understand also why Kabed et avivcha ve'et imecha comes where it comes in the what you call the Big Ten, and in this section and not in that section, and so on and so forth. But because of his actions of Cham, he fell from a madriga of a ben to a madriga of an eved, of a slave. Why? When Noach woke up and discovered what exactly happened, he cursed Cham and he says, Eved avadim ihyeh le'echav. He's going to be a slave of slaves to his master. Not only a slave or slave to his brothers. And from that action, from that person, came the shoresh, the root of avdut, slavery and oppression, to the world. And that cham exists, that quality exists in each and every one of us, in the nefesh. When we, don't forget, stay away or drift away or don't do enough for the kavod of our Heavenly Father, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Afterward, we do say Avinu Malkeinu, or Avini Malkeini. Well, you know, you get the drift here. Then we fall into the level of avadim. That's why when a person, a Jew, even more so a Ben Torah, that does not act in such a way, he's mechalel Shem Hashem, desecrating the name of God. He is falling down to a level of a slave. Now, let's go back to the beginning. It says, Ve'ele Mishpatim. So we know it's a continuation of Matan Torah. Ve'ele, as we said before, adds on, first on the second one. So now we'll go to this and I'll explain to you. If Matan Torah, if giving Torah, was Hamshacha milemala lemata, it was, like a waterfall. You have two pools, right? You have a body of water here, and then there's a waterfall. What connects the water from above to the water at the bottom? Pulls down, gravity pulls it down. Matan Torah was Hamshacha milemala lemata. The connection came from above. Minakal el hakaved, from the light to the heavy. Because it says, Mina shamayim dibarti imchem. And then it says, Dibarti itchem, the mitzvot sichliyot, mitzvot that would make sense to us, right? Right? Which is kabet avicha letemecha, don't lie, don't steal, and so on and so forth. And then later on, it continues, and that is the sechel adam. That's the it makes sense. Kabet avicha letemecha, makes sense, and so on and so forth. Therefore, it is unifying the sechel of men with Hashem's will. Oh yeah, it makes sense. Okay, I'll do that. I'm okay with that. That's why they were giving in the way they were giving. And in the often of Tasim Lifnehem, you should put in front of them, when he says Tasim Lifnehem, when Hashem told Moshe, it says, Lehavin ta'amei hadavar, Keshulchan ha'aruch u'muchan le'echol lifnehem. You're going to put in front of them like a set table so they can come and eat. Right? So it makes sense. Until what point? Until shemechaber oraita v'kedusha b'richu. You're going to see the Torah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu when you make this connection. Until you're going to make this whole thing complete. And until you're going to bring it, ma'aneh ali alechem ki'ilu asauni. And then we have to connect it, right? After it was given to us, now it comes our ishtadlut. We have to now deal with the Torah. We have to bring it about. And by doing so, we lift it up. The connection, it's not only down, it's also up. Until to that level, right? Ma'aleh ani alechem, and so on and so forth. Sha'asuni chativa achat, that they made me one unit in the world. I make them one unit in the world. Shneimar goy echad ba'aretz, which says goy echad ba'aretz. Why? When we say Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, Hashem answers to us and says, Mi ki amcha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz. But we need to start doing it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah. That He did His part. Now we need to bring it up again. And this is really the chidush of Matan Torah, and we say Matan Torah Misinai, that then the gzera, the decree of separation between heaven and earth, between spiritual and physical, that has been diminished, has been finished. We were done with this. We were connected. And at that point, Paskatu Tumatam, their Tum'ah, ceased to exist, and they came back to the level of Adam Rishon. They were able to bring it back. Then they made a separation, they fell down again. Now you understand why a person who is a Baal Tshuva and does so mi'ahava, because of love, his level is so high. Yoter mitzadik. And I'm going to show you why more than a tzaddik, Be'ezrat Hashem. You always think, oh, tzaddik, tzaddik. You go to Israel, you give $1,000 to some big tzaddik. You find your local Baal Tshuva who made Tshuva me'ahava. You should go to him, he should give you a bracha. He's on a higher level. Why'd you give him $1,000? Why you have to fly to Israel or fly to here or stand in line for hours? Find yourself a true Baal Tshuva. Shema, אתה Baal Tshuva? כן, אני Baal Tshuva. למה עשית תשובה? השתבח שמו. I love it. Can you give me a bracha right now? And then give him the $1,000. Because he connected heaven and earth. He brought himself up to that level. You know what a madriga is? And I'll show you why. However, you have to learn so much Torah that until the Torah will become kinyano, it will become the Torah will be called yours. Not only the Mishpatim, also the Chukim should be Mishpatim. Even what you don't understand should be clear to you. It's something that makes sense 100%. The Shemitah should make sense to you, or Para Aduma should make sense to you as much as Kabel Tavicha Temecha, or Lo Tirtzach, or Lo Tignov. You have to push, you have to push, you have to push. Also, that those things should be connected, should be one. Your chayut, your livelihood, should come from the Torah, and that only come when you live with it. That all your actions are geared towards Torah. The power, the engine, the catalyst behind your actions is all Torah. Torah is you're driven by Torah. Your perspective is Torah. You judge your actions, your movements, all according to the Torah, and appropriate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Then it becomes yours. It becomes your shulchan. It will be like a shulchan aruch who is ready in front of a person, right? And then it's going to be kebasar vadam, because you're going to eat and act and so on and so forth, and therefore it's going to be your Torah, because that Torah lives in your body. It's always going to be Torah Hashem, but it's going to be in your body. However, let's go back 1 second to the Eved Ivri. In Eved Ivri, we have also other types of avadim, but the question is why is dafka Eved Ivri? So we know we have Eved Ivri, and we have Eved Knaani, we have Amma Ivriya, and so on and so forth. All these things have internal reasoning, which are very spiritual, connected in different elements in the nefesh of the Adam, and is always acting all the time. So now, Eved Ivri, spiritually, is a Jew that his avodat Hashem is bederech kabbalat avodat Eved. He accepts HaKadosh Baruch Hu like he is a HaKadosh Baruch Hu slave. That's Eved Ivri. That's Eved Ivri. Eved is milishon me'ubad. Me'ubad means processed, manufactured, like leather. It changes nature. It changes its nature, by being a slave, changes nature to want whatever his master wants. He doesn't have a will of his own. The Torah wants to teach us that a person should do the mitzvot, of course, as we said, not only because it makes sense to you, because asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu, because of the tzivanu as well. By doing so, there is the level of kabbalat all, accepting what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, and so on and so forth. Now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and if you know, the Medrash tells us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was not say, okay guys, terrific, hey, yesh koach, you said na'aseh v'nishma, hey, zeh yafeh me'od, I like it. He also says, kafa alehem har kegigit. Why did he need to put har kegigit on them? Why it wasn't enough just Naaseh v'nishma?
Insurance.
Huh?
Insurance.
Insurance for what?
They wouldn't accept it.
No, they already said Naaseh v'nishma. There's no insurance. God needs insurance. Hey, you want it, you want it. Don't want it, shalom. Yalla. However, why did he need to get har kigigit? So I'm going to show you. I'm going to tell you Belinada. Every Jew is a b'chinat eved ivri. In other words, he, at his somewhat of his highest form, is Eved Hashem, a slave of Hashem. In Matan Torah, Am Yisrael became slave to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It says, Avadayim velo avadim la'avadim. They are my slave, they're not slave of slaves. And this is, by the way, as we spoke last week, the whole essence of coming out of Mitzrayim. According to the Tzemach Tzedek, you know Tzemach Tzedek? Say hi for me. According to the Tzemach Tzedek, as we said before, there are three types of slaves, which are three different levels in Avodat Hashem. It's Sefer Tanya, right? It says Eved Ivri, Eved Knani is a Rasha, right? And his level is Bedargat Nefesh De'asiyah. It's a very low level, Dargat Nefesh De'asiyah. Eved Ivri, Beinoni, mediocre, in the middle. Ruach de Yetzirah. Ruach de Yetzirah. Amma Ivriya, a Jewish maiden, slave, is tzaddik, b'dargat neshama de bria. But I had a question. I said, hey, how about Atzilut? So I have a chidush for you. He didn't bring it, I'll bring it. So really the whole Avdut is really an Eved Knaani. In other words, a person that always works, and not only works for 6 years or until the Yoved, he works all the time. He doesn't want to be free. So why does it go with Eved Ivri? Because the Ratzon, the will and the pleasure of an Eved Knaani is to be Porek Ol. I want to do whatever I feel like doing. I don't want, whatever is not allowed, that's what I want to do. And the only reason why he works for his master is only because he has to, or because he's afraid he's going to get whipped. Or like they say in the South, whipped. Right? And the Ratzon, the will and the pleasure of an Eved Ivri is really the pleasure of the master. So he's mevatel his Ratzon to the master. And that goes all the way to the Madriga of Amma Ivriya, which is the Madriga that Tzaddik, שעושה עבודת התהפכה, שהמידות שלו נהפכו לקדושה. He took his midot, his qualities, and now he made them all. He has bad midot, he has qualities, but he made it all to become holy. So that's a tzaddik, right? And that kind of a tzaddik is also able to do pulot on top. And therefore we say that the tzaddik is creating a new hamshacha, a new funneling, and by doing so is able to actually create the essence and create reality. And we should know that whatever we receive in Har Sinai, that's chilul, we receive freedom. Why shene'emar mi she'osek b'Torah ben chorim en bechorim ela mi she'osek b'Torah, and so on and so forth. And we said already that the curse that was brought to this world was brought because of Cham. That he went from the Madriga of Ben to Madriga of an Eved. So now I'm going to tell you this. And Madriga of Atzilut is in a person that was able to elevate himself from a level of a slave to a level of a son. And that's the highest level. We should desire to go back to the level of the son. The Ma'archu Rabbeinu Chaim Vital says that even in his generation, people don't learn Torah lishma anymore. They don't learn Torah for the sake of Torah. He says, those people nisharim b'madrigat eved. They stay in the level of a slave. Why? Because they learn Torah shelo lishma, lo lishma. And then all the problems of the world continue because we don't create that chibur, the connection. And because of that, we need halachot and so on and so forth. That's why the more we progress in time, the more dinim, the more halachot, the more laws, because it kind of restricts us, We don't have it inside of us. We're creating separation, so we need more to bring it about together. However, the Mahachu explains that the whole limud of halachot, this is only the basis of how to live in a fixed society. Eved needs laws because that laws exist in his level. However, by learning the pnimiyut of the Torah, learning the spiritual aspects of the Torah, which unfortunately is being completely neglected. There aren't so many Jewish thinkers today who are people of caliber with great intellect that are able to see things and share. Very few people are like this. I mean, I don't always agree with his opinions, but one example is Rabbi Sachs, Jonathan Sachs, YU favorite boy, chief rabbi, ex-chief rabbi of the British Empire. Lord is an unbelievable thinker. But today, become a thinker, it's like muktzeh. The frum world not really like him because, he learned philosophy. Well, it's okay, so what if he learned philosophy? We are not able to elevate ourselves into higher levels because we don't learn the pnimiyut, the essence, internal essence of our lives, the meaning of what I'm doing. So when I'm living everything superficial, it looks like it. And that is very difficult for a person that might try to go underneath the surface a little bit to deal with this, because it's all superficial. We're building gorgeous buildings, but no pnimiyut inside. No thinking, no meaning to our actions. It's all external. No meaning to our actions. And when you're going to start learning more pnimiyut, you are increasing your chances to really learn Torah Lishma, because you really see the sweetness of the Torah. And by the sweetness of the Torah, you actually fall in love with it. People would be completely bamboozled with somebody who could admire him like a Maharaja if he could regurgitate 2 pages of Gemara by heart. Well, I'll tell you that's not a big deal. One time I had a bet, so-called, with one of the guys in Yeshiva. That happened about almost 20 years ago. I'm willing to bet with all of you. He still knows, and the bet was to remember the first daf of, if not the first Amud, something like that, but it was, probably now he knows the Amud, but he knew of Masechet Chagiga. I'll tell him now, he'll send it to you. You can remember it, but that does not mean that the person that remembers has the pnimiyut. You need to understand. So if you come with some havamina of yourself, right away, no, we have to go to there, because we are in the level of a slave. We don't encourage, spiritual capitalism, spiritual entrepreneuring. That is horrific. If I have a chidush, it always has to be somebody else's chidush. It has to be somebody else's concept. It can't be my own concept. Why? If it's good, it's good. Because we are not able to break away from that internal slave. Well, some people are in different levels, as you can see, different levels of slaves. But that's what it is. We need to learn further inside. However, but we have to remember that the whole limud of the Mishpatim is just to show us the way how to elevate ourselves and really to stay eternally free. Yes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us that we are slaves. However, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want us to just stay in that realm of slavery. He wants us to become also children. Because as he says, Banayatem, you are my children. And to the point that we can call him Avinu Malkeinu all the time. When he says, Kabed et avicha ve'et imecha, that also Kabed et avicha shebashamayim. Ve'imcha ze Knesset Israel. You should act appropriately as a Ben Torah, that kol ma'asecha yu lichvod shamayim, ve'lichvod tiferet Am Yisrael, to glorify your people. You should not be an embarrassment to your people. And this should be out of love, but that's only when you're going to start actually developing more and more of an internal meaning into your actions, not just looking to make a quick buck here and there, or to become famous, because you know what? Nobody will remember you anyway. Only your actions will be written in the book. Now, very, very few people, and these are the people who were actually able to put meaning into their into their lives, into their Torah. They're free. They're free. They are not slaves anymore. And you should choose to become children of Hashem, not just slaves of Hashem. Shabbat Shalom.